This season of Truly Independent is supported by the Help Them See Foundation. Help Them See is a nonprofit dedicated to supporting feature films that inspire faith, hope, and connection. By partnering with filmmakers, the Help Them See Foundation brings meaningful stories to life and shares them with audiences worldwide, making a lasting cultural impact through the power of cinema. Learn more and discover how you can be part of the movement by visiting helpthemseefoundation.org. Welcome to Season 3 of Truly Independent. I'm Garrett Batty alongside my co-host Darren Smith. Each week, we'll go in-depth with guests, industry experts, and we'll even share our own experiences, all with the goal of demystifying the independent film process. This season, it's all about the script, from the first spark of an idea to a polished final draft, breaking it down for scheduling, budgeting, and ultimately shooting. We'll walk through every step it takes to get from page to production. Welcome to Truly Independent. Welcome to another episode of Truly Independent. Darren, nice to see you. How are you doing?
I'm recovering from everybody got the winter cold this winter, including myself. So last week was brutal, and today I feel 90%, but my voice says otherwise.
Yeah, your voice is it's pretty sonorous.
Yeah, it's a lot lower than it typically is on this show.
Well,
so we could turn it into a radio bit if we want to.
You're going to want that voice to talk to our guest, because our guest I'm very excited about. With us in the center panel is Ben Stier. Ben, how are you? Welcome to the show.
I'm great, and thank you so much for inviting me to be on your podcast. I'm excited. I've been looking forward to this since you emailed me late last night. I'm so stoked. But honestly, I am.
Ben, you're pinch hitting for us as far as the guest today. So thank you. But that's sometimes how we get our best guests.
This is true.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Good. Okay. Well, as I mentioned when we've talked, Ben, you and I met. Well, I don't know. We started interacting more a few months ago after a read through for one of my projects that you came to, and you were gracious enough to send over some thoughts and notes and reactions, and I immediately said, "This guy knows what he's talking about. Let's go to lunch." And I've just been continually impressed with your career and all that you've done, and how willing you are to share that insight, to share insights. So
thanks for saying that.
I'm glad you showed up to the read through.
Yeah, I wanted to meet you, Garrett, and it was just like I texted 5 people I knew, and one of them said, "Oh, he's doing this read through on Monday night. You should come to that." And I'm like, "All right." So I figured if I was going to show up, I would do the thing that I would want someone to do at my read through. And so I took diligent notes on all the beats that came to mind, typed as fast as I could the whole meeting. It probably looked like I wasn't even paying attention now that I think about it.
Is this guy ever going to stop texting?
You're like, who is this moron showing up to my table read just playing Pong on his phone?
So, Ben, how do you classify yourself? How do you introduce yourself as far as when people say, what do you do?
I say I'm a filmmaker, and then they look at me and wonder what that really means.
Okay.
And I started doing that probably 12 years ago, and now that's just what I do. That's what I say. And before that, it was very hard to say those words, and I don't know what it is. Probably that imposter syndrome, where you just eat so much pasta that you're bloated and you're very insecure with who you are. So
do those correlate? Because
I think so. I think imposter syndrome is a really thing, but also impasta syndrome is also just as real.
Yeah, you eat so much pasta you think you're Italian. Okay, so from overcoming imposter syndrome, you don't just start saying you're a filmmaker. You obviously have some sort of experience on set or a credit to your name.
In my career, I served a mission, and after my mission, I was going to get married, and I wanted to be an artist. And the more I thought about it, I'm like, I don't know anybody there was a couple guys in my hometown that were working artists, but they were so old. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm not going to make money till I'm 70 if I choose this career path. Right now, these guys and they took me under their wing, and they were old, and they thought I could maybe be an artist too. But for whatever reason, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna do something art adjacent. And I went to advertising school and graduated from advertising school. And I had had a ton of experience going through that in San Diego, going through the advertising program that I worked at a magazine as a layout artist. I worked for Time Warner in their television department doing graphics for television and editing like little comedy news segments for broadcast, and I had all this access to all these things that were film adjacent. But then when I graduated, I was able to get and work at an agency that did huge national advertising campaigns. And when you're dealing with the advertising campaigns, you're always hiring the production company. And so every time we would do a broadcast spot, which was pretty frequently for every new product, and we did 14 products while I was there into major box stores, and that you're interacting with the production company and you're on set and you're there because you're an art director over the project or creative director over the project, and you're seeing what they're doing. And you're like, okay, what I'm doing is stupid. What I'm doing is meaningless. What they're doing is awesome. How do I do that? And so that kind of started it. And after 8 years of that, one night I was just obsessing. I've always obsessed over film, and I made films as a teenage kid whenever I can get my hands on the camcorder. I was watching the extras on my new DVD for Terminator 2. And in any case, you realize, oh, you can do these things. You can just get a camera and go do these things. And so I talked to some friends and I said, hey, I want to make a little thing. Do you want to help me? And they said yes. Because in my mind, I'm thinking, can I do something and make something from beginning to end and have it tell a story, A to Z? And we did that. And I just screened it in my living room till 15 of us after it was done. It took about a month to make this 5-minute little short, comedy short. And everyone laughed and had a great time. And I'm thinking, okay. And they're like, what are we going to do? You going to put it in the Sundance? And I did everything. We did the music. I asked a friend who was in a band if I can license their music. Like I didn't want to use anything that I couldn't commercially release. And so, but I didn't. And that film's never seen the light of day, but it proved something to me, and maybe to my wife, that a year later we would be selling everything we absolutely owned, couches, televisions, you name it, to go and try and do this. So that's my origin story.
Oh, that it's so relatable, and what a journey. At what point, what a supportive wife you must have to say, you know what, I'm done making money. I'm just going to go try independent film. And
Supportive for sure. Yes.
yeah,
Yep. She was like, okay, let's do it. This sounds great. You haven't steered me wrong yet. And so far I've done nothing but prove her.
Can you maybe share a little bit around that idea of, because you mentioned like how important it was for you to finish it, to do it from A to Z. It wasn't just an idea. It wasn't just a thing you noodled with, but like,
Yeah.
how important was that? And maybe how has that played out for you throughout your career to have that earliest experience be something you actually finished?
I think about this a lot. If you're standing on a street corner and someone hands you a camera and says, make something scary or go make something emotional, you have 6 hours, right? Like in your brain, you can analyze the things in movies you like, but it doesn't mean you're going to have that outcome to go make something scary. There's plenty of short horror films or short dramedies that either don't land or there's something missing or whatever. So it's like, what do you know you can do before you start wasting all these other people's times on your project? And so that's what you gotta that's what film school is about. I think that I didn't go, but it's about exploring what your sensitivities are so you know what you can do, if that makes any sense. So I ended up spending most of my career in documentary because it sounds pretty brave to sell everything you know and everything you own and dive into a totally new career at 30 years old. But I think I was still halfway committed when I did that. Like, as brave as it sounds, I still got pulled back into corporate settings, back into come work on my startup, back into these things. And even though I was having success, at times it took another 8 years of that back and forth before I said, no more of this. This is what I'm doing. And when you do that, a certain power will come over you. I feel like that in my case. I've probably totally gone off on a rabbit trail on your end.
No,
I'm
it's a
sorry.
good point. It's a good point because at some point you do have to, I don't know, commit to what you're doing. Independent film is difficult and hard and challenging, or rewarding and exciting, but it is like all encompassing. And there to be able to kind of
Mhm.
do it half-heartedly um, is probably not a good pathway to succeed. So when you did commit, you said it took about 8 years to kind of before you blew up the bridge. Is that when you did
Exactly.
your Nat Geo show?
Yes.
Because that's
So I
like
was
that's huge. Like that's quite a leap.
It was, and it was an interesting experience. It was I going back and forth. We made a couple short films, and we were going back and forth between writing a feature
Ben, I maybe just lost you
um,
for a second.
and shooting another short and doing all these things. I had someone come to me, a pretty awesome guy from the corporate world, and he had sold his company, and he just took me to lunch one day, and I love what you're doing. Because I left his company and told him I'm going to go make a movie, basically. So he took me to lunch a couple months later. I want to invest $100,000 in you. What can you do for $100,000? And I think that's where kind of my confidence was shattered a little bit. Oh no, he's handing me a camera right now and telling me to go make something, and I don't know what I can make. I can only make the three short films. Those are the things. I don't know enough to make what he's asking me to make, or I didn't have confidence in myself, which I should have just said, make what is in my heart at that point, which was this little dramedy. But in any case, I got together with a partner at the time, and we went and pitched like a bunch of TV ideas that we had. And he said yes to them. And so we started developing these TV ideas blindly. And that's not how you go about making television. You can't just come up with your idea in your cocoon and then go try and sell it to a network. Networks already have their agendas planned out for the next 5 to 10 years. And it doesn't work that way, except in this for one case, we met a guy who did full contact heavy armor jousting, and he was a hardcore dude, and he was driven, and he was charismatic, and he had everything that worked through the lens. And so we added him as a third project in our projects we were shooting, and luckily we had our sizzle reel, which was awesome. We had at the same time that a news article was coming out, and it was like three things happened all at the same time. And our lead guy since he was in this full contact sport, he happened to be on Jim Rome radio show at the same time, the news article and everything's hitting, and boom, all of a sudden people wanted our show. And that was lightning in a bottle. It happened once, and it was awesome. It was a 6-hour series called Nights of Mayhem on National Geographic. And we were young and wet behind the ears, and we were just like, I don't know. I don't want to disparage anybody, but there was lots of trucks that ran over us, but there was also a lot of people that held us up and encouraged us to keep going.
Yeah.
But we learned a lot. So through that, you meet a couple network executives, and they say, what else you got? And we said, oh no, we got these things, but you're not interested. What do you got? And they said, we're looking for this and this. And that's how you make a second show. Then you say, okay, they're looking for whatever,
Yeah.
extreme barbecue people. And then you go and where can you find that in America?
Yeah.
Relatable people. And in any case, like I feel like it was fun making reality television. It was a super awesome experience, but it wasn't independent film. It wasn't what I committed myself to do and what I'm committing myself to do now.
Well, it's interesting because you've got these two events or two kind of moments that feel very, like you say, lightning in a bottle or serendipitous or whatever it is. And that's true. And I think
Mhm.
that's a reality of each one of our journeys as far as becoming an independent filmmaker. But I want to emphasize that those aren't exclusive. Like when you say, hey, somebody believed in me and they said, I want to invest 100,000 in you. That's obvious. That's a rare occurrence. However,
Mhm.
it it's not exclusive to you. Like you were making short films, you were following your passion, you were doing your heart, doing the work, and it led to that, right? Or past experience led to that. And so for people that are listening saying, oh, this guy was basically handed a golden ticket to make his dreams come true, that's it sounds like you were working your guts out, you had taken some significant leaps of faith, and somebody invested in that passion, and that's not exclusive to you. Is that?
That's yes, I agree with you to say like he did see something and still does, still checks up on me.
Yeah.
Probably wants his 100 grand back at some
Yeah.
point.
And the same thing with your Nat Geo show, say, oh, well, it was just kind of a fluke thing, or
Mhm.
yes, it is one in a million chances, but I think that what you have as far as a skill set is you identified, hey, this guy's charismatic, this guy's a story, and there's
Mhm.
this kind of energy, or there's something in the zeitgeist of full contact jousting, or these reality. Here's an opportunity. You identified an opportunity, and we're able to move that into work. And if, again, for independent filmmakers that are listening, saying, yeah, I don't know any jousters. That's not what we're saying. That's not the pathway. The pathway is find a story, identify a story, make it resonate with you,
Mhm.
and then find the audience that wants that.
There's that, but too, like what we were talking about last week, Garrett, is this idea of you're someone that they saw that could solve a problem for them, whether it's the investor or the network or whoever hired you. It's, oh, we trust this guy, and there's some momentum. So you've done something, and then you're trusted to do the next thing. Like all that plays into it. It's not just you were picked randomly out of the millions of filmmakers who would love to be in the same situation. It's no, you did the things that led to where you were at that moment.
But Darren, I do feel like a couple projects later, I feel like I was picked randomly for one. I don't know if Kel's Goodman, but he left Blendtec and they were floundering for an idea of someone to take over the Will It Blend series.
So let me fill
They
that
were
in.
going through
So
people.
yeah, for those that don't know, right? Kells was with back when YouTube was just kind of a baby, right? Will It Blend?
Mhm.
They used to blend up different objects and would get millions and millions of views, right, on these advertising their
Yes.
blenders. So
Mhm.
Kells started that, or Kells was a part of that, and was leaving. So go
Mhm.
ahead. I'll try not to interrupt again.
It's okay. And so I had a very depressing year with a television show that failed that was just going to be a Discovery Channel show, which was going to be my big shot at being co-executive producer. It tragically ended. And so I was just depressed for months on end. And then I feel like my buddies, hey, we're trying to get this thing back off the ground. They don't know what direction to go. They have no ideas. They've talked to a couple different people and they're not satisfied with the pitches they're hearing. Come in and say what you would do with this series.
With the
And I
the
came
Will It
in,
Blend series, right?
yeah, so I came into Blendtec and I said, I will do exactly what you have been doing. I wouldn't change a dang thing. I would actually double down on everything that's working. And for some reason, they loved that. For the next couple years, I wrote and directed, in my mind, the most successful Will It Blends. We incorporated high-speed cinematography. We shot on bigger cinema cameras. We did fun special effects, and I had a blast. It was awesome, and it woke me back up to what you could do, and it led me into doing 2 more feature documentary films with some amazing people.
I missed the part where you were picked at random in that story,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's okay.
I feel the same way.
I feel like the guy that called me, he could have called any of the creatives that he knew,
My
and for
guess is
some
he
reason.
probably did, and he called you for a reason. So anyway,
Yeah.
not to nitpick around semantics here, but
Or what was that old TV show? Was it Night Court? He's like, "How did
mhm,
you become a judge?" And it's like there was a list of 25 people that could be the judge, and he was like 14 on the list, and he was the first one to answer the phone.
there you go.
Again, yeah, that's cool. So it's a matter of coming up with those creative ideas and pitching and solving a problem that we've talked about a little bit on previous episodes. They had a problem, they needed a creative take on it, and you delivered. And then you said it led to two more feature docs.
Yeah, one is done, but I don't know when it's going to be out on streaming. I'm not in charge of that portion of it. And the other one is still lingering in post world, which is for most docs, I think that's good that a couple years go by since because they age great.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if more time goes by and we're able to reignite the spark and catch up on these characters 5 years later, That's great. So that film's called Gutbuster, and that features a bunch of awesome people: Dr. William Furman, Pete Holmes, the comedian,
Nice.
a bunch of other comedians, and that follows the life of a stand-up comedian as he turns his life around through diet
Oh, nice.
and exercise.
Nice.
And it has a lot of heart, and it's pretty awesome. And it's definitely in limbo as far as like where we're going to get the rest of the money to finish post on it. But who knows? Maybe it's one of those films that fades into oblivion. But who knows? Maybe we'll be able to reignite it sometime soon.
Yeah.
I'm always, every year I'm taking meetings and trying to move it forward. And every year I think, okay, one more year goes by. That means everyone's a little bit older. Everything's a little bit new, different. So when we do finally shoot those last scenes, it's going to be that more impactful because everyone wants to see the years go by in a documentary film.
Yeah.
And then the other film was about the life of a famed comedian who we interviewed, and it is in that movie, John Panette, who passed away right after we interviewed him. And we got along. He was a fantastic guy. We had a great couple weeks together, and he was just a wonderful human being. He remembered who I was. 3 weeks later,
Yeah.
I'm walking through Comedy and Magic, and he looks over his shoulder and he sees the top of my head, and he's like, "Hey Ben, come over here." You know, where was that chocolate you shared with me? Where'd you get that chocolate?
Yeah.
He was just like, he was just a warm human being, and tragically passed away the week later. And his manager called me and said, "Hey, listen, I know you have this interview, like we have some aligning goals, and you have this full running production crew. Help me make this his life story." And that was just a couple years on the road in Boston and New York, interviewing everyone from his sister to his brother to you name it, Dane Cook, every awesome comedian you can possibly think of. Everybody looked up to this guy. Everybody that came out of the Boston scene admired him. He was a comedian's comedian.
Yeah.
And so we just got to meet and interview tons of comedians.
That's fun.
And yeah. So in any case, that was the second project.
So you've talked
Feature.
about some of the challenges of, okay, do we have funding to finish this, or some unexpected tragedies ending a show or interrupting the production flow. What do you, as an indie filmmaker, like, how do you face those challenges, or how do you overcome them, or at what point do you say, okay, this is not meant to happen?
I think one is you can't give up. If you believe in the project, you can't give up on the project. And if you do, you're going to pay for it emotionally. You're going to pay for giving up on that project. That's been my experience. If I believed in something that I won't give up on it, it's like your children. Like, at what point would you give up on any of your kids? You won't. Doesn't matter what they're doing or what life choices they're making. Like, you're going to be there for them. And your films are the same way. Now, it doesn't mean, so every year since I decided to do this, going back to 2006, I've written a screenplay pretty much, or attempted to. There's a couple years where I got to page 60 before something busy happened. And I don't consider every single one of those my baby or my child. Some of them are $100-200 million epics. I just wanted to write a $200 million film and see what that's like. But every once in a while, I think I'm going to write something this year. I want to write something I could make for under $1 million. And those are the ones you fall in love with, or those are the ones I fall in love with. And like the one I'm pitching right now is this comedy film, and I can make it for a very low amount of money. And I'm in such love with it that I will never give up trying to make this movie. It is endearing to me and so powerful and funny and fun that, so you pick your battles as an indie filmmaker. You double down on what you know you can do. If someone hands you a camera, what can you make? And you don't give up.
Yeah. Okay, that's sage advice, and clearly something that's working. You've showed me the deck for that indie comedy that you're doing, and it is worth not giving up on. It'll be a very fun one. I'm so hopeful that you'll be able to find the support for that film.
It has to be made.
Yeah. That's a tough feeling that we have sometimes as indie filmmakers, is like that, like, this has to be made. Something inside this project is making me willing to stop everything I'm doing,
pump the brakes
Mhm.
on a potential career or job or paycheck and make this
Right.
movie. And I think that we have to exercise wisdom in that and say, okay, for us to sustain that, we need to go about that intelligently. Find the right
I will
supporters,
say,
find
like,
the right audience.
when you have a project from the heart like that, the more you pump the brakes and the more laser focused you get on it, meaning the more you say no to other projects and no to other work, the more powerful that thing becomes. I've said no a couple times to commercial projects in the past year because I was trying to get this thing off the ground. And every time I've done that, I've gotten better story beats, newer jokes, better ways to solve difficult problems in the screenplay. Everything becomes better. That energy that you would have spent chasing that broadcast spot or whatever, that commercial spot or that branded scripted spot, that energy doesn't go into nothing. You're able to refocus that. And it might seem a little strange or cosmic or loopy in the brain, but I do believe that energy you would have spent doing something else is refocused. And so I'm grateful for that. And that's a lesson I've learned. I said no to a project in September, and it's done nothing but open new doors for me, physically and mentally.
That's awesome to hear. And for me, it's highlighting this thing that we see a lot with earlier in their career filmmakers. I don't necessarily want to assume younger, but like those that are earlier in their career, if they've only got one script under their belt, that is precious. It is the thing they want to put all their time and attention to, but the market may not respond in the same way, right? But what you're saying is you've been doing this for 20 plus years, and it's something you've made it into a craft. It's not just a passion project, but then one out of all of these scripts emerged as like the one, and you have that sense of tension or this pull that's, oh, I have to make this one. For me, that's something I'm always looking for with projects is, do I feel compelled to make it? Because if not,
Yeah.
that has to be there, or else the energy after months and months and no after no after no of whether it's investment or distribution or collaborators that you're trying to go after. So you have to have all those. You have to have that compulsion to show up every day and keep moving that project forward. So I just think it's a true principle that you've highlighted again for us here, that just because you're passionate about it doesn't necessarily mean everyone's going to be passionate about it. And if you only have one, it may mean that you're really passionate about that one, but maybe it's probably not going to be as good as your 5th or 10th or 20th project.
Right. True.
So then if there is a, if you look back on some of those projects that have worked out, that have done well for you, is there a consistent through line to those projects? Say, hey, this is why this went well, and this is what I want to try to repeat.
Oh, yeah. Wait, you broke up at the end though.
Okay, good. I thought you were pondering my question, but it sounds like we were frozen. So I was just saying, what's the consistent through line in those projects that have been successful for you or have had good results?
Other people that are passionate too. I think I had a really big funded project slip through my fingers at the beginning of COVID. And COVID, I believe, was mostly responsible for that happening. And so I was just like down on my luck, like everyone else, trapped in your bedroom watching TV. And my wife says, you got to just do something else during this because this is going to last a couple of years, Ben.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, you're totally right. Like, I got to do something with the no budget. And so I wrote I had a bunch of these science fiction shorts that I had been working on since 2013, 2012, a couple different shorts. And so I just like crammed them together and I wrote an esoteric science fiction, mind bending feature script. And then I went to some friends I had since I was in high school who live locally. And I said, hey, you guys want to do this during COVID with me? And they all said, yeah, let's do it. And so then I was like, oh crap, now I really got to try and make this thing. But I couldn't have done any of it. I couldn't have gotten to square one without all of their passion. Like when you're an independent filmmaker, you accumulate equipment. It's just part of it. There's a certain look you want, so you have that filter. There's a certain shot you need, so you buy whatever, a probe lens. You're going to get this thing someplace. You either buy it yourself or someone who did. And so I looked at all the equipment I had accumulated, and of it, I had a really nice audio package put together. And I'm like, oh, okay, so I think I got everything I need for audio for this movie. And then my buddy who said he wanted to help, I turn around, I go to his house, and he'd bought his entire own audio kit and had been practicing in his basement during COVID for the past 2 weeks, recording his kids on a boom. And I'm like, your mixer's better than my mixer, because all these people, they're all successful and have real jobs at big companies, so they can afford to buy the nicest mixer or whatever. And your mic is pretty decent, dude.
Yeah.
It's not better than my mic, but it's pretty decent mic. And so he showed up every day during COVID with his own audio kit. And I didn't even have to think about it one time, the quality of the audio, because he was a software engineer. He knew technology in and out. He knew everything there is to know about being highly technical, and the skills to operating a boom pole. He taught himself over a week and a half, recording his kids, following his kids around the kitchen. And I'm like, dude, you can probably go make $600 a day right now with this kid. And I make more than that programming for Ancestry. But in any case, those are the people that make your movie possible at an independent level, is the passion other people just bring. And you, as a director and producer, you have to identify when someone's coming with just a good idea that they think is cool, or when someone is coming with that has the passion of their life energy behind it. And I think that's this discerning factor when dealing with people, is you're bombarded with ideas from everybody nonstop. Okay, what ideas are the ones that are coming at you that if you say no is going to hurt that person's feelings, because they have honest passion behind it, and whether it's good or bad. And so you double down on, it's a gamble. You double down on what you think is working with the people on board, and hopefully you don't lose people. And it's inevitable that you're going to lose some people, but if you're honestly thinking about it every day, every time you show up on set, then the people that you make the right bet with, it becomes stronger.
Yeah.
So hopefully.
I love that. I love that. That's yeah, it is. It's the creative process is a collaborative process, right? And there are a lot of people with great ideas, and I hear from them weekly in my email box saying, "Here's an idea. Here's an idea. Here's about this."
Yes.
There are fewer and fewer that know how to make that idea a deliverable. And
yes,
boy, if you can find somebody, and that's probably what you've done in the past, been able to prove that, hey, this short film is going to be a deliverable, or this sizzle reel, we're going to turn this into a deliverable series, or these feature-length documentaries, or even the Will It Blend stuff. Like, here's an idea, do what you do, and we're going to prove it a little bit with this equipment and make it a deliverable. And I think that's an important thing that we as independent filmmakers have to know how to do, is execute on these great ideas.
There's a famous quote, or not, I don't know how famous it is, but there's a famous filmmaker and he's the most dearest filmmaker to my heart that I can think of. I read his biography, his autobiography, and I want to read it again this year. He is the most wonderful filmmaker that's ever existed. His name's Frank Capra, and his entire filmography starts off in the silent era, working with kids and writing silly gags, all the way up to the most endearing films that have ever existed. And when receiving an Academy Award, he said this, and it's this quote that's burned in, and it became more burned into my heart and mind after I read his autobiography, which is called The Name Above the Title by Frank Capra. And I think every filmmaker should read this book. I think every filmmaker should read that book, and they should also read Charlie Chaplin's autobiography. And they should also read D.W. Griffith's autobiography, penned by Lillian Gish. And I think you read that, you are going to know the history of film. But anyway, Frank Capra said that as a filmmaker, as an artist, you have to believe in yourself, because only the valiant can create, and only the daring should make films, and only the morally courageous are worthy of speaking to their fellow man for 2 hours and in the dark.
Yeah, it's an awesome responsibility that we take on, and to be able to do that repeatedly, that's our goal.
There's a mystical power. There's a special magical power behind film. And it's this power that anchors people's emotions and the reality of other people's lives. And it's through story. So that's why I have passion to do what to give up on other opportunities I could have had in life. And I don't think it's anything a computer's ever going to replace. I feel so much pain in my heart to technicians that lose jobs to computers, but I feel like that gives them a chance to double down on what they're really passionate about.
Yeah. I love it.
Awesome, man. This is super good. Yes, sorry. Thank you. I was making sure I wasn't muted. I've been coughing in the background this whole time. This has been super helpful.
I thought you were laughing at me.
No, I would never do that on camera. No, but it's always great to hear the journey of a filmmaker and all the nuance that goes into having a career here. Of different for everybody. There's no consistency. There's no plan that you can just like copy paste. Like it's different for everybody. So I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story with us. Where's the best place for people to find you online, connect with you? Like, how do you recommend people do that?
I'm on Instagram, but I always change my handle. So it's not, I always forget what it is. But I used to have a website, but I just recently took it down because it wasn't serving me. I'm trying to get really focused. I think that honestly,
the question was, where can they reach out to you?
It sounds like you don't want to be reached, Ben. It sounds like you're going to great lengths
I was going
to remain anonymous.
Hold on. I have a statement. If you really want to talk to me, please just email me. It's my name at me.com. Ben Stier at me.com.
Okay. And I can
and if you really want to know how crazy I can get with a camera, go watch my feature film, Girl Without End, streaming on Amazon.
Perfect. All right. We'll urge all of our listeners to go do that. Ben, thank you for making time for us.
That's it. It's over.
That's it.
I'm sorry.
Awesome.
We're just their commute is over. They've reached their office and their destination, and we keep it within a 40-minute thing so that people can
I understand. I'm sorry I rambled like an 80-year-old man.
No, it sounds
we're here to listen for your story, so it's all good.
Okay, and I want to have you back, Ben. I want to have you back when you finish your doc, or when there's progress on the comedy, because we need to hear that journey of you making this comedy.
Let's do it. I'm so excited, you guys. Thank you so much for having me on. It's been awesome.
This season of Truly Independent is supported by the Help Them See Foundation. Help Them See is a nonprofit dedicated to supporting feature films that inspire faith, hope, and connection. By partnering with filmmakers, the Help Them See Foundation brings meaningful stories to life and shares them with audiences worldwide, making a lasting cultural impact through the power of cinema. Learn more and discover how you can be part of the movement by visiting helpthemseefoundation.org. Thanks for joining us. If you are enjoying Truly Independent, please share and subscribe so you don't miss the rest of the journey. Today's episode was edited by Michael Bradford and produced by 3 Coin Productions.